Another year has ended and a new one just began. And as with all other areas of the economy, the agricultural sector in 2018 had its fair share of challenges. But with the resilience of our many stakeholders, farmers being chief among them, the sector continued on its developmental path in 2018.
2018 was very challenging year for us. In fact, we started the year very optimistic because you would appreciate coming from the budget. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance did allocate some resources to the Ministry of Agriculture and give support to our many programs that were articulated in Cabinet and through our technical people in the Ministry of Agriculture. We met with the stakeholders and then the farmers, the respective organizations, informing them of our plans and of course trying to solicit the support, which of course I must say at this point in time was well deserving, and we can say thank you to them for the support. But unfortunately, when we were about to move and to see the impact of our programs, we were visited by the tropical storm. And one would appreciate it did have a negative impact on our agriculture. Again, the cabinets of ministers, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, give the necessary support to assist our farmers to get back into production.
In 2018, we were able to achieve a few of our objectives. One, we were successfully able to send through Cabinet a revised national land policy, which was accepted by Cabinet. Also, we were able to provide additional resources to expedite the scanning of the land registry papers to lead us into full digitization of the land registry. And we were also able to complete the first phase of our consultancy regarding the separation of the DCA from the physical planning unit.
The Water and Sewage Company WASCO, as of 2016, fell under the umbrella of the Department of Agriculture and has been working feverishly to ensure the delivery of a high-quality service to the St. Lucian public. With a new board and management team in place, a retreat of the leadership was held in January 2018 to help resuscitate the company and to give renewed courage to the leadership of the organization. Chairman of the Board of Directors, Mr. Francis Dembo, spoke convincingly of the successes of some of the latest projects being undertaken by WASCO.
WASCO is now in the process of developing several important water projects and initiatives around the island, to include one, installation of a 50,000-gallon storage tank in Bouton to benefit its clients in that community. 3 kilometers of pipeline is already installed along the roadway. Secondly, the process to commence desilting the dam is in progress after so many years of discussion, so that work can start on building the sediment disposal area by the end of the first quarter. Phase 1 of the Dennery North Water Redevelopment Project, which started in February 2017, is almost completed. And the new treatment plant, installation of miles of pipeline, and an expanded new intake is up and running.
Mr. Dembo also provided renewed confidence on the Tiroshe Miku Water Project, which was next on WASCO's agenda. Meanwhile, Agriculture Minister, who is also responsible for water distribution on the island, spoke passionately about the commencement of the John Compton Dam desilting project.
After 8 years, we have been promising the people of St. Lucia that we are going to do what it takes to desil the dam. In fact, we have started collecting monies from them. In fact, one number is about 20 million now. 24 is going up very steadily, 24 million, right? And we have not removed 1 cubic yard of silt. We cannot continue.
Devising a 5-year strategic water management plan for WASCO was a major part of the discussions at last year's retreat. As was in the making, the government of St. Lucia, through the Water and Sewage Company WASCO, delivered on its promise of desilting the John Compton Dam. On the 21st day of May 2018, a sword-turning ceremony to signal commencement of works on the first phase of the project was held. Phase 1 of the project would consist of the removal of approximately 1.5 million cubic meters of sediment from the reservoir.
Prior to Hurricane Thomas in 2010, the reservoir was estimated to have accumulated 200,000 cubic meters of sediment, of which came from some of which came from Tropical Storm Debby in 1994. Following the passage of Hurricane Thomas in 2010 and the Christmas Eve trough in 2013, the reservoir accumulated further sediment amounting to 1.5 million cubic meters. The functional capacity of the reservoir has therefore been reduced by half.
The original 660 million imperial gallons of water, which supplied approximately 100,000 individuals in the north of the island, was reduced to about 50% due to the buildup of sediment as a result of climate change. That phase of the project was financed by the government and people of St. Lucia in the amount of over $26 million. Overall cost for the project was estimated at $54 million. And as was expected, the residents of the Mabwea Valley received their consistent supply of fresh potable water as the Dennery North Water Redevelopment Project was formally opened on February 17th. The project, which was financed by the governments of Mexico and St. Lucia, was implemented at a cost of approximately $5 million. The project was part of government's intention to ensure that every household received the basic necessities of life. The project was implemented in 2 phases, which saw an increase in the distribution of water to residents of Dennery North to approximately 1.4 million imperial gallons on a daily basis.
I want to thank the government of Mexico, and I need to say this to my constituents in particular. It doesn't matter which government is in office. The government of St. Lucia will always be stretched to get resources to deliver programs and projects to the citizenry.
Meanwhile, residents of Tiroshe Miku were also pleased with the commencement of works on the Tiroshe Miku water supply project. The project promised a regular supply of pipe-borne water on a daily basis by the end of 2018.
I've been pinching myself sitting next to the Prime Minister because I've been wanting to see this project come off the ground for so long. I literally gave up when I heard dates of commencements of this project. I refused to believe it, and when I was told that today, in fact it was supposed to have been the 6th of August, 2nd of August, and then I was told it's actually going to be happening today. I still didn't believe until I started seeing the contractors marking the roads and cutting in some of the areas.
A sword-turning ceremony held during the month of August formally commenced works on the Tiroshe Miku water project, which saw pipes connected from the Tiroshe water tank to the Miku water treatment plant. Prime Minister and representative of Miku South, Honorable Alan Shasney, lamented the passing of the pioneer of the project, former parliamentary representative for the area, Aston James, adding that the project would be a life changer for residents of the community.
But even if we're here today to announce that we're breaking ground, many people in this constituency have been given many mangoes to hold for a long time. And so therefore, it's not until the water starts flowing on a daily basis that more than likely people will know that it is there for true. But I can say that we're absolutely committed to making this thing happen.
Chairman of the Board of Directors of WASCO, Mr. Francis Dembo, spoke of the dedication of the staff of WASCO in ensuring the continuation and completion of the project.
I wish to thank the people of the community for their patience with WASCO and the authorities in getting the pipeline and pumping stations installed off the ground and to finally bring the long outstanding project to completion.
Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph said that the project would improve the livelihoods of residents as they would benefit from a reliable supply of potable water. By the same token, the frequent water supply interruptions experienced by residents of Babono and its environs came to an end in 2018 with upgrades to the Hill 20 water treatment plant. The main objective of that project was to satisfy consumers with a consistent and reliable supply of pipe-borne water. The project included the installation of new pumping stations at the Hill 20 treatment plant to increase pumping capacity to the Pebush tank, as well as increase in the capacity of the Lakwa pumping station to benefit residents at lower levels. A second phase to the project would include the installation of an additional electric pump at the Hill 20 treatment plant, which would further increase the water volumes to the various communities. A regional initiative which sought to integrate water, land, and ecosystem management in the Caribbean small island developing states was launched here during the month of April. The project was a collaborative effort of the Forestry Department and the Fort-St-Jacques Development Committee. The IWECO project was funded by the Global Environmental Facility and was implemented by the United Nations Environmental Programme. Parliamentary Representative for Soufrière Fort-St-Jacques, Honorable Harold Stanislas, expressed elation at the benefits to be derived from the project.
No doubt, such an initiative will have tremendous economic benefits for the people of Soufrière and Fort-St-Jacques. The IWECO project is of great significance to the people of Fort-St-Jacques and surrounding areas, particularly when we contemplate on the colossal loss of life and property which occurred in 2010. We therefore wish to thank Jeff for providing the funding for the project and the other partners such as UN Environment, Jeff Small Grant Program UNDP, and the Caribbean Public Health Agency CAFA for the technical assistance. So my dear people, I encourage all of you to support this initiative as well as other similar projects which will be implemented within the watershed over the coming months.
The project sought to apply a ridge-to-reef approach in addressing many of the issues relating to sustainable water, land, biodiversity management, and conservation within the Soufrière watershed. The project was designed to mitigate deteriorating conditions from the forest to the sea. The fair was meant to create awareness and hype for the objectives of the IWECO project. The signing of an agreement between the government of St. Lucia and the Association for the Conservation of Threatened Parrots, ACTP, to construct a wildlife conservation center at Union took place on 25th January. The project was part of 9 years of collaboration between the two parties with the aim of protecting the St. Lucian parrot.
I'm sure that all of us here would agree that the challenges that we have with climate change is important for us to put infrastructure and to put systems and policies in place to protect our wildlife. And in that case, we're looking at our parrots.
The refurbishment of the Wildlife Conservation Center at the Union Forestry Complex was one of the single largest investments undertaken by the ACTP in the amount of US $500,000.
We are very proud that we finally are able to start with this project. Just to mention, even for us as ACTP, it is one of the biggest single investments we ever did in our career and in our time we exist. And it is a pleasure for us to work with so many dedicated people in this program. And yeah, looking forward for the opening.
The Forestry Department received 3 4x4 vehicles under the project to assist in wildlife education and conservation. The project is part of the government's commitment to redevelop the Union Agricultural Station as a center of excellence which will serve to educate visitors on issues relating to the sector. Meanwhile, a sword-turning ceremony to signal the commencement of construction on the Wildlife Conservation and Education Center was held on February 23rd on the grounds of the Forestry Department at Union. The aim was to build awareness around the parrot and to help protect St. Lucia's national bird. Agriculture and Forestry Minister Ezekiel Joseph, while expressing his gratitude, took the opportunity to recognize the struggles of one who contributed significantly to the conservation efforts in St. Lucia.
I want to say that I'm happy to be part of this activity here this afternoon. And the reason is that the individual that this complex is named after was one who molded me and trained me as far as agriculture is concerned, forestry, and that's Gabriel Charles. And whatever we are doing, those of us who are students of Gabriel Charles, whatever we are doing to improve the facility here, I'm sure in his great beyond where he's resting, he will say, job well done.
Agriculture ministers from St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Dominica were on hand to weigh in on the momentous occasion. Completion of the project was scheduled for December 2018. Meanwhile, forest officers from throughout the OECS met at the St. James Club Morgan Bay Resort on June 11th for a week-long consultation on project financing. The workshop sought to educate participants on ways to identify sources of funding from donor agencies to finance sustainable forest management initiatives in OECS member countries.
So we are delighted to have the United Nations Forum on Forests here with us this week, and it's going to provide us with, an avenue, to seek additional financing for forestry management. I mean, you don't get many people, supporting forest management, proposals or activities, apart from people like Jeff and UNEP, etc. But again, as I would say, you have very stringent, protocols that you have to follow.
The workshop was spearheaded by the OECS Commission with the assistance of the United Nations Forum on Forests to give support to sustainable forest-related issues in the region.
We have to be honest, these countries are small. And on the international stage, it's difficult to voice the need of St. Lucia individually or Dominica or St. Kitts and Nevis individually to international donors to harness, to mobilise the financing at national level. So that's one of the main challenges, is just the size of these countries. But one of the initiatives, one of the reasons for having this grouped initiative is to speak with one voice, have several countries in this region, all of them speak with one voice and say, these are the needs that we have in these countries. We don't have the funding to manage our forests sustainably. We need that funding. And together with one voice, you speak louder on the international stage, and then donors start paying more attention.
The workshop was initially requested by 3 OECS member countries and included participants from the 3 islands working together to build resilience on the impacts of climate change. By the end of the workshop, it was expected that some collective proposals would be agreed upon for financing by the international community under a sustainable natural resource management structure for OECS member countries. The banana industry remained a major priority of the government of St. Lucia in 2018. One of the priorities of the Agriculture Ministry was to revitalize the banana industry over a 4-year period which commenced in 2017. As such, the signing of an action plan for the Banana Productivity Improvement Project was held during the month of February between Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, and Taiwanese Ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency Douglas Shen. The signing signaled the beginning of an agreement between the 2 parties to further develop the banana subsector. The new agreement sought to improve on the cultivation of bananas locally, to assist in the control of banana pests and diseases, and to improve on the management techniques in cultivating bananas in St. Lucia. A delegation of officials from the Taiwan International Cooperation and Development Fund, ICDF, headed by the Secretary General, Mr. Timothy Chung, paid a courtesy visit to St. Lucia on March 18th to the 20th. The purpose of the visit was to appreciate firsthand the status of some projects being implemented jointly by the Taiwanese Technical Mission and the Department of Agriculture. A meeting between members of the delegation and the management of the Agriculture Department gave an insight into the areas of mutual cooperation.
Well, they're assisting us with many projects. One project is the refurbishment of the orchid farm at Union. Another project is the Banana Production and Improvement Project. Another project is the Farmer Field School project.
On the final day, the team participated in the opening of a Farmer Field School in Roseau, being funded by the ICDF. They then took to the fields to observe firsthand banana production operations and packaging of bananas for export. On June 20th, Taiwanese Ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency Douglas Shen, presented to Minister for Agriculture Honorable Ezekiel Joseph a check valued at $1.4 million in support of the local banana industry. The check represented the first of 4 disbursements to help transform the local banana industry. The grant was made to strengthen the Banana Productivity Improvement Project to help improve on the quality of life of thousands of families who reside in the rural communities. It was expected to contribute towards improving rural employment opportunities and income by expanding the current acreage of bananas by 600 to 1,000 hectares. The productivity of bananas was projected to increase by approximately 50 tons per hectare, allowing production levels to satisfy the market requirements and to build resilience to climate change. The formal procedure was held alongside a farmer graduation ceremony for persons who participated in a farmer field school conducted jointly by the Department of Agriculture and the Taiwan Technical Mission in St. Lucia. St. Lucia's Prime Minister Honorable Alan Chastanet, along with Agriculture Minister Honorable Ezekiel Joseph and other officials of the agricultural sector, met on December 20th with stakeholders of the banana subsector to resolve a predicament surrounding the export of bananas. Projections for the year ahead seem to suggest that the export of bananas to the UK would fall from 15,000 to 6,000 boxes weekly. This, according to Ezekiel Joseph, would not sit well with his administration.
Moving forward, we are seeing that the production will be very high in the first half of next year. And the type of figures that Winfresh is talking about cannot be accommodated. They have to go out there and get the markets. So today the meeting was really to discuss that issue, and I'm happy that they have understood our position as a government, and they would continue to collaborate with the NFTU to satisfy the marketing opportunities that we believe can be explored.
The outcome of the meeting was quite satisfying for the Agriculture Minister as well as for the Prime Minister, who made his position clear on the issue.
We've had meetings with Winfresh with regards to the statements they're made. We don't share their sentiments. And I'm very happy to see that whatever misunderstanding was in place and what they were intending to try to do, which was not really to limit the industry, but certainly they were bringing up a problem in the market, that we're satisfied that we have a strategy to be resolved at.
Opportunities to boost the export of local bananas to France and other markets were also being explored by local authorities. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet called on young entrepreneurs to explore the possibility of utilizing the entire banana plant for processing rather than just using the fruit.
And I'm encouraging my young people to start looking at what byproducts we can use with bananas, both with bananas itself, but also the leaves and the stems of the banana tree, that we need to earn money on every component of a banana tree, not just the banana, in order to be competitive. But I know that we have the capacity and the innovation to do that in St. Lucia, and I want to reassure the banana farmers and reassure the public of St. Lucia that this government stands firm behind this sector.
Meanwhile, Minister for Agriculture Honorable Ezekiel Joseph issued a call to the National Fair Trade Organization to act responsibly in their negotiations for a new purchasing agreement with Winfresh for 2019. The call was made at a ceremony in Deglo where the minister presented checks to farmers who suffered losses due to the passage of Tropical Storm Kirk amidst allegation that a reduced quantity of bananas would be purchased by Winfresh in 2019. According to the minister, government through the Banana Productivity Improvement Project is investing millions in the industry to increase production and productivity, and it is therefore untenable and unacceptable that farmers who produce are unable to sell their fruits.
We cannot, as a government, as a project, getting support from the government of Taiwan to increase production and productivity, and we're not seeing the type of support for market. We cannot.
The minister urged farmers to keep on improving on their quality, but expressed dissatisfaction with the buying company. He advised the NFTO to ensure that the purchasing agreement with Winfresh reflects the volume of fruits that would be available for export. A total of 108 farmers benefited from the compensation, in addition to the free application of fertilizer and leaf spot control chemical already received by farmers. Meanwhile, the Banana Productivity Improvement Project formally launched its Building of Resilience to Climate Change program in December. The program was initiated at the Mamiko Estate, where head of the Taiwan Technical Mission, Mr. Mario Shen, farmers, and students from the Angers Secondary School were on hand.
After Tropical Storm Kurt, we saw it necessary to have these barrier plants, the windbreaks, because we saw in estates like Lynch Février up Mine, where the mango trees protected the farm and the damages was not as much as we have down here. So we said, okay, we went to the Taiwanese mission and they agreed to sponsor this tree crop planting. And we're using mangoes for two reasons. Mango, if you plant, we can put forestry too, but if you put mango, you can have a double effect.
Under the program, some 5,000 commercial fruit trees were to be planted on the perimeter of banana fields to serve as natural barriers to protect banana fields from strong winds. The program was sponsored by the Taiwan Technical Mission in St. Lucia.
We try to engage the farmer to provide a better assistance in the agriculture area. And today, we have an idea to provide trees become to the barrier to protect our banana fields, to prevent maybe in the futures do not get so much serious snappage in the banana field.
The coconut industry continued to show much potential for growth and development throughout the past year. Efforts to keep the industry thriving were made by the various stakeholder organizations in 2018. A meeting of representatives of the National Stakeholder Platform for Coconuts was held during the month of March, where issues affecting the development of the coconut industry were discussed. Issues identified by Chairman of the National Stakeholder Platform, Mr. Kenny Daniel, were numerous and would require the participation of other players to get the industry on a positive level.
As we speak, Ministry of Health is currently conducting, together with the City Council, a food safety program that the OECS also conducted some months ago, BAM also conducted some months ago, and also the Bureau of Standards. Now I'm saying that if we could pool these resources, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and the stakeholders that we are already targeting will already be able to gain from the experiences of all the stakeholders that we're probably doing the presentation.
The Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, continued to play a leading role in bringing stakeholders together and in strengthening the coconut industries throughout the Caribbean. Meanwhile, a week-long workshop put on by the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute sought to introduce stakeholders of the coconut industry to the management practices involved in hardening and propagating coconut plantlets. The workshop was part of a Caribbean Coconut Industry Development Project, which saw the training of officers from Antigua, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia in the survival techniques for the new resistant variety of coconut plantlets brought in from Mexico. Following a 34% loss in the first batch of approximately 5,000 plantlets imported, an additional 2,000 resistant coconut plantlets were imported here from Mexico as part of a third phase to the project. The new batch was intended to assist the coconut oil industry, a shift from the previous set, which was a dwarfed variety intended for the waternut subsector. The trainees were introduced to various cultural practices involved in the winning of plantlets, such as caring, handling, environmental control, and preparation of the medium for growing the young plants. The agro-processing facility in Fond-Massot Babono fell under a new management and was renamed Paradise Foods St. Lucia Limited. The facility, which was established in 2011 with the assistance of the government of Taiwan, sought to create opportunities in adding value to local produce. Further assistance coming from the European Union under the banana accompanying measures saw the facility being retrofitted into a modern agro-processing plant.
The European Union has supported the FONASO processing facility in this spirit, together with 2 other agro-processing facilities on the island, and I'm proud that the European Union has contributed to the development of this amenity by the allocation of a budget of €170,000 for its refurbishment and equipment altogether.
On 20th February, the facility was officially handed to a new management team as part of a public-private partnership lease agreement which sought to maximize the potential of the organization. The new management team consists of 3 individuals, a Taiwanese investor, and 2 local entrepreneurs, including former St. Lucian ambassador to Taiwan, Hubert Emmanuel, who expressed intention to transform the facility beyond simply agro-processing.
We will be doing more than just producing products. We will further cement the marriage between agriculture and tourism, because part of the activities here will be to organize tours. We have already in talks with tour operators to organize tours, that we have daily tours to this facility. And not just to this facility, but to neighboring farms in the area, so that our visitors could experience firsthand how the crops are grown, how it is processed here, and then they will have an opportunity to taste it right there.
Paradise Foods St. Lucia Limited continue to specialize in the production of a wide variety of value-added agro-products, creating linkages between agriculture and the hospitality industry. Directors of the facility have agreed to utilize the abundant supply of local crops to create additional avenues for farmers to market their produce. Meanwhile, Paradise Foods St. Lucia Limited, located in Fonhasso Babono, has begun an alliance with the Fonhasso Primary School in supporting the school feeding program. On May 2nd, officials from Paradise Foods and the Ministry of Agriculture met with students and staff of the Fonhasso Primary School to inform them officially of the decision by the company to adopt the school. The Fonhasso Primary School was the first of many institutions to benefit from the company's philanthropy program.
And our goal is to ensure the younger ones here among us live a healthier lifestyle, right? Our whole product is to live a healthier lifestyle. We want to give you better products, because in St. Lucia we are blessed with some very good tropical fruits and foods on the whole. But we are not making good use of it. We are going out and we are buying imported things that is not as healthy. Now, for you to be a good student, to achieve, you have to have a healthy mind.
As a result of the alliance, Paradise Foods St. Lucia Limited supplied juices and ice cream to every child of the school on a weekly basis. The expectation was to help develop the mental capacity of the children at Fonhasso Primary.
If you're coming from home and you did not have your juice and you did not have your meals, or you're missing something else, they are coming to start the partnership with us. And he will tell us some of the other companies he's going to partner with. So therefore, he's going to give us the juice. The other one will give us something else. The other one will give us something else. And let me tell you something. Fonhasso Primary, whereas we go also by that other philosophy. Grade K, grade 1, grade 2, you learn to read. Grade 3, 4, 5, and 6, you read to learn.
Part of the company's objective is to support positive activities taking place within the community and to collaborate with other operatives to strengthen the developmental activities of the Fonhasso Primary School. The Division of Cooperatives in the Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources and Cooperatives joined the international community in observing International Day of Cooperatives, which was celebrated in 2018 on July 7th. The theme for the observance was Sustainable Consumption and Production. The theme for 2018 created an awareness of the contribution of cooperatives in conducting successful businesses while respecting the natural environment and its resources. The slogan for the day, Sustainable Societies Through Cooperation, allowed policymakers the opportunity to engage cooperatives in policy decisions relating to sustainability issues. In St. Lucia, a number of activities were embarked upon to build awareness of the strides being undertaken by the Division of Cooperatives in building cooperation. An island-wide roadshow was held to pay tribute to the various cooperatives on island which are impacting the local economy. A national farmers registration program commenced in August by the Department of Agriculture. The purpose of the exercise was to develop a database which would assist the department in charting the way forward for the agricultural sector.
We, under the Ministry of Agriculture, we have data to collect, and so we decided that we will do a national farmer registration program where we will have all the farmers in the island be registered, whether you're a full-time farmer or part-time farmer, or call it a backyard gardener also. With that farmer registration, we will be able to collect some of the data and information we need for planning in the Ministry of Agriculture.
As well, the registration exercise would ensure that every farmer benefited from the incentives and other services being offered by the sector.
The ID card is part of the registration, it's a proof of farmer registration, and the ID cards will be, well, with registration you stand to get certain benefits. Benefits like your subsidies, be included in our training programs, whether being included in even land preparation. We try with the marketing of your crops too, that you will be required to produce your ID to be able to sell your produce. We're hoping that with the new marketing entity that they will be purchasing all produce, and then you'd have to be a registered farmer to be able to sell to them.
Registration began in Babono for farmers of regions 1 and 2, which covered the northern part of the island, and continued in every other region across the island, and included producers of crop as well as producers of livestock. During the month of August 2018, the Republic of China Taiwan, through its embassy here, made a presentation to the government of St. Lucia on its achievements within the agricultural sector for the past year. The mission also addressed plans for further cooperation in the years ahead. Taiwanese ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency Douglas Shen, spoke of his country's continued commitment to help develop the local economy.
I would like to reiterate that Taiwan will remain focused to support the growth and the development of the banana subsector in particular, agriculture, ICT, and the rural economy in general. I look forward to turning a new page in our partnership of mutual benefits and prosperity.
Meanwhile, St. Lucia's Prime Minister, Honorable Alan Chastanet, expressed gratitude to the Taiwanese for their unwavering support and commitment, and called on the Taiwanese ambassador to explore opportunities in which Taiwan could benefit from its cooperation with St. Lucia.
We're very keen on building on that foundation of learning more and more from you with regards to agriculture, and with one twist, and that we really are looking to develop a strategic relationship with Taiwan. One in which Taiwan starts taking advantage of St. Lucia's geographical position in the West, because we're exactly 12 hours difference between our two countries. And so we have an opportunity of helping you continue to develop your markets in this part of the world. And clearly for St. Lucia, in looking at Taiwan as a foothold for us in Asia.
Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph, in expressing thanks to the Taiwanese for the support in the banana subsector, reiterated the need for assistance to the non-banana farmers and also in the area of mechanization. Ezekiel insisted that every farm in St. Lucia should be viewed as an enterprise, and that farmers should ensure that the enterprises be covered with insurance. Meanwhile, a memorandum of understanding between the government of St. Lucia and the Embassy of Taiwan here was signed on November to begin cooperation in another area of agricultural development. The agreement involved the financing of an import substitution program which would give rise to the development of value chains for 7 agricultural crops established under the guidance of the Taiwanese Technical Mission. The crops to be grown comprise cucumber, lettuce, cabbage, sweet pepper, watermelon, cantaloupe, and pineapples. The project was established to ensure a reduction in the local food import bill through import substitution. Financing for the project was provided by the Republic of China Taiwan in the sum of US $3 million. On October 16, St. Lucia joined the world in observing World Food Day, a day set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to raise awareness of the issues behind poverty and hunger and to remember the millions around the world who are malnourished and die of starvation. The theme for World Food Day 2018 was "Our Actions Are Our Future." In response to the many challenges faced by the sector emanating from food insecurity, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives hosted a grand food fair at the Fordo Heritage Park on 14th October in observance of World Food Day 2018. The grand exhibition, put on by the various divisions of the Agricultural Ministry as well as stakeholders of the sector, displayed and offered for sale a wide range of local agro-products. That, coupled with musical entertainment and other side attractions, invited the participation of many St. Lucians. The Department of Agriculture, in its quest to further develop the local agricultural sector, formalized relations with the Cuban government through the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding on Agriculture. During a signing ceremony which took place in October, Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph identified some areas in which St. Lucia could benefit under the agreement.
Because most times we go to the more developed countries to look for technology. And in the region, I mean, when you look at what's happening to Cuba, Cuba has the same environment, the same culture as it pertains to us. So why? And it's a question of adopting technology to suit our conditions, and it has been done in Cuba. So I was very much impressed to see the type of irrigation that is taking place. Knowing that right now we have been faced with climate change. If it's not heavy rains, it's drought. If it's not drought, it's flood, it's wind, like we experienced last week. So there's really need for us to revisit our agriculture, and there's a lot happening in Cuba that we believe we can learn from.
Cuban ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency George Francisco Soberon, said that he is excited about the new agreement and looks forward to successfully implementing the activities outlined in the MOU.
We are very happy to have had a technical discussion with the Honorable Minister and the Ministry staff in order to identify areas that allows our countries to strengthen the agricultural sector. Now, we know that both Cuba and St. Lucia, we are Caribbean islands, but we are also developing islands, and we are also among those countries of the world that have to face several vulnerabilities because of the effects of climate change and many other challenges that we face. So, in order to continue the path of development of our countries, we need to strengthen our exchange, our cooperation, our discussions, our joint efforts in the area of agriculture.
In March of 2018, Propel continued its efforts to introduce farmers to high-valued crops that could be grown locally using the value chain approach. At a Propel meeting held near Fond Estate in Mico, farmers and agricultural officers witnessed firsthand the agronomic practices used in growing onions. The aim of the meeting was to persuade farmers to diversify using onions.
The meeting here today is part of or continuation of the value chain approach that Propel is pushing to commodity development. The commodities that we have been pushing is potatoes, onions, and today here we are at a stage in the value chain where we had trials before, where we've established the technology and the suitable varieties for growing the crop. And what we have here now today is a meeting to look at some of the scaling up.
One of Propel's objectives is to identify crops that are highly marketable and can be grown locally to be introduced to local farms. Meanwhile, the Propel project, in its pursuit to give support to the farming community, collaborated with the Department of Agriculture in introducing improved technology to help create mechanization within the local agricultural sector. During the month of July, a number of agricultural supplies was handed to the department by the Propel project at a small ceremony held in the conference room of the Department of Agriculture. Propel's project director, Mr. Doug Graham, was quite pleased in delivering the tools to the sector.
The vacuum seeder and the transplanter are also sort of an interesting thing, and we got into this because we've been sort of trialing onions and trying to make sure that things are more efficient, because one of the things we want to do is to make sure that there's an increased profitability. If you can reduce labor time and labor costs, that increase productivity and profitability of the crops. So equally, there's also a climate element to this, where if you're using these sort of vacuum seeders to grow the seedlings, you're giving those plants a better opportunity to withstand. So you're reducing the sort of risk or open air exposure of these crops.
The tools received were to be used in sowing and transplanting of seeds, rainwater harvesting, data collection, and soil testing, among others. The donation was valued at US $5,000 and was funded by the Canadian government. Farmers, fishers, and consumers from Labrie and its environs benefited from a sustainable agribusiness climate smart project which began with the Labrie Credit Union. The signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Agriculture and the Labrie Credit Union, along with the Labrie Fishers and Consumer Cooperative and the Black Bay Farmers and Consumer Cooperative, was held during the month of March in the conference room of the Department of Agriculture. The project was intended to create employment opportunities for residents of Labrie in the areas of agriculture and fisheries.
This project is financed by IDB, and it's a very innovative project because it really looks at sustainable livelihoods, yes, but at the same time it also focuses on climate change. And with the ministry's focus on one of its objectives dealing with having to deal with climate change and disaster risk reduction, this project, I believe, is very timely, and we are very happy to be working with both the Black Bay Farmers Association and the Labrie Credit Union with this very innovative project.
The project is being funded by the Inter-American Development Bank in the amount of close to US $1.9 million. It is a 3-year pilot project which seeks to transform farmers and fishers into agri-entrepreneurs.
It is a 3-year project, and the idea is to actually transform farmers into agro-business producers. This phrase has almost become a cliche in terms of trying to make farmers and fishers into entrepreneurs, into agro-processors. We think the time has come where that must happen if the farmer and the fisher is to enjoy greater benefits, can really truly say that greater benefits can be created from their industry.
A component of the project will focus on insurance for the beneficiaries, considering the vulnerability of the sector to natural and other disasters. St. Lucia has partnered with the United States Department of Agriculture to help control the movement of pests and diseases into the country. The collaboration has enabled St. Lucia to join 8 other Caribbean countries in an initiative referred to as Don't Pack a Pest. The program is geared towards informing and educating the traveling public of the risks associated with transporting agricultural produce across borders.
The Don't Pack a Pest program is a traveler education program. It's a multinational program, and St. Lucia has partnered with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, becoming the 9th partner in the Caribbean region. And signage is installed in passenger areas, in airports and seaports throughout the Caribbean to deliver the message, when you travel, declare agricultural items, don't pack a pest.
St. Lucia's agriculture has come under enormous pressure due to the entry of numerous exotic pests and diseases, many of which has devastated the sector, threatening the livelihoods of our farmers and placing a huge burden on the local economy. It is recorded that 98% of the pests coming into the country enters through passenger traffic.
we encourage persons to not pack agricultural material or quarantine type material. So as he said, fruits, vegetables, those things can unintentionally have a pest or disease that may cause damage to a country. So that's the idea of the Don't Pack a Pest program. We encourage persons to know, do not pack agricultural material when you're traveling.
The Department of Agriculture in St. Lucia is working with several organizations, including Customs and the St. Lucia ANC Port Authority, to ensure the success of the program. The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, AICA, working within the interests of the local agricultural sector, presented to stakeholders its program of activities for the year 2017-2018. The accountability seminar, which was held on May 30th, invited participation by representatives from partnering agencies such as the Diplomatic Corps, CARDI, farmer organizations, and the Department of Agriculture, all with a common interest. AICA's representative in the Eastern Caribbean, Mr. John King, defined his organization's focus in St. Lucia for the accounting period.
We from ICA implemented in 2017 7 technical programs and activities relating to its strategic objectives. And our strategic objectives are, we can divide it in 3 categories. One is external resources, right? External programs that ICA is implementing. The second one is the instruments that we call flagships, family agriculture, competitiveness of agriculture sector, inclusion of youth and women in agriculture, and climate change and risk management.
The latest area of focus for AICA was to provide support to the root and tuber value chain in St. Lucia, while giving support to the organizations involved in the value chain. AICA also focused on the nutritional health of our youth at the school level with the support of our rural women producers, JEF, and the UNDP. The issue of climate change and climate-smart agriculture was a major part of AICA's work program in 2017. On April 4, 2018, a batch of poultry farmers as well as prospective poultry farmers from throughout the island ended 12 weeks of training with a graduation ceremony held at the conference room of the meat processing facility in Vieux-Fort. The exercise was part of a farmer field school conducted jointly by the Veterinary and Livestock Services Division of the Department of Agriculture and the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, with funding coming from the India, Brazil and South Africa Trust Fund.
The government spends money, yes, but in the hope of realizing returns, and the returns must be greater than the money spent. So, needless to say, the government and IBSA and FAO are all expecting to see returns, to get returns from you. When I say returns from you, they're going to want to see greater levels of productivity from you.
The training began in November of 2017 and ended in January, during which the farmers were refreshed in a number of areas relating to poultry production.
The key thing is to put in practice all that you have learned over the past few months. The success of the school is not based on how many of you graduate and get certificates today. The success will be measured by how much you are able to improve the productivity on your farm by implementing the best practices you have learned or were demonstrated.
22 individuals from within the poultry industry received certificates, making them better equipped at successfully managing their enterprises. A new policy and strategic plan was developed for the livestock subsector in St. Lucia. Stakeholders from the livestock industry came together in May to discuss a new focus for livestock development for a 10 to 15-year period. The discussions were led by the Veterinary and Livestock Services Division of the Department of Agriculture with the assistance of the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, under a project entitled Poverty Reduction in St. Lucia through Livestock Development.
The policy should really give the ministry guidance as to the direction that the stakeholders of the livestock sector would like to see the sector go. So it might include, obviously it will include elements of how to develop the livestock value chain, the various livestock value chains. There are many. There is small ruminants, there is pork, there is the poultry, the egg value chain, and so on. So we're here, the stakeholders are here to look at this, the value chain, where the weaknesses are, and where government should intervene in terms of eliminating the gaps and strengthening the value chains.
The new policy and strategic plan was the latest addition to the IBSA project and was included approximately 1 year earlier. The plan would include developing value chains for each of the livestock products such as poultry, pork and egg production. The plan sought to focus on strengthening animal health systems to prevent and control diseases and mortality in animals. The Trade Export Promotion Agency, TIPA, has partnered with the Department of Agriculture and other agencies within the agricultural sector to strengthen ties in an effort to see increases in the trading of local agricultural goods. On Tuesday, 15 May, representatives from TIPA and the Department of Agriculture signed a memorandum of understanding to officially begin the process of collaboration, which is expected to raise awareness of business opportunities, build partnerships, and increase regional and international exports.
Agriculture has always been very important to the economy of St. Lucia. It's important because of the foreign exchange that you get from agriculture. It improves food security, and it also creates sustainable livelihoods for our farmers and for their families. And so we thought that it was a critical area that TIPA should focus on in the next year to ensure that there is a collaborative effort to push agricultural exports.
Over the last few years, it has been recognized that the demand for produce has grown significantly on foreign markets, and it is for this reason the alliance between the two organizations was formed to push the exports of local produce.
In many cases, or several times, we ask our farmers to increase production. And they always respond by saying, you're asking us to increase production, but who do we sell to? Where are our markets? Now with this MOU, and with TIPA identifying the markets, we can now tell our farmers exactly where the markets are, what is required, and in what quantities. So therefore, TIPA brings to us the market intelligence that we require to speak to our farmers.
The collaboration between the parties is expected to show an increase in the trade of local produce of up to 20% by December 2018. The agencies are also working with Windfresh and other marketing agencies to create a national initiative. Through the signing of this MOU, a close working relationship with the private sector will be guaranteed to ensure the success of the initiative. Fishers and residents of Pwale and Savans Bay came a step closer to seeing the fish landing facilities brought to completion. That was as a result of the kind assistance coming from the government and people of the Republic of China, Taiwan, towards the development of the fisheries subsector in St. Lucia. On Friday, 26 January, a check valued at EC $1.4 million was handed over to the Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, by Taiwanese Ambassador to St. Lucia, His Excellency Douglas Shen, for continued construction on the Savans Bay and Pwale Jetty projects.
As the Minister responsible for fisheries, along with my colleague, Honorable Harold Stanislas, and of course he spoke about coming from Soufrière, we appreciate the contribution of our fisher folks, and that is why we saw the need to engage the government of Taiwan, and we got the support of Ambassador Douglas to write to his government and to inform and to convince his government that there is need to put more resources in that project for us to continue it.
Rehabilitation works to be completed as part of the projects include the provision of locker rooms for fishers, fish markets and processing facilities, and public washrooms for fishers and users of the facilities. Since 2007, the government of Taiwan has assisted the development of fisheries in St. Lucia, enabling activities for persons working within the subsector.
Today, on behalf of my government, I am very glad to announce that Taiwan will sponsor another 1.4 million EC dollars for the project of rehabilitation of the Pwale and the Savans Bay fisheries facility.
The facility will allow the users to operate in a much safer environment while assisting them in generating economic activities.
I must say that I am delighted and happy that we have been able to accomplish that much. Of course, there's a lot more we can accomplish. We have challenges with resources, and of course, one have to understand with limited resources, you have to improvise and see what can be done.
I believe 2018 was a good year with all what we were able to, what we inherited and what we were able to go through with limited resources. I believe 2018 was a good year, and I look forward to 2019 being an even better year than 2018.